Hello, extra time.
You point to the league not to get a high because it damages your reputation. It makes people, when they read it, just laugh at you.
The single club, they're playing in the League One and they're playing in the Europa League and they're credit to the game in this country. Maybe we should get Stephen Kenny down to manage the Irish team.
Welcome everybody to another episode of the Extratime.com podcast. Your host is Jordan. No Macdara or Donal today, but we do have a cracking lineup for you. Coming up later on, we chat to Mick Doyle and Heather Jameson, who are with the CP Ireland team over in Italy. We also chat to James Rogers about the latest going on Dundalk. But first, we're delighted to welcome onto the show Shamrock Rovers goalkeeper Amanda Budden. Amanda, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I suppose first question really is the tough game last weekend against Bowes, Dublin Derby.
Yeah. Yuck, I think the game could have went on another 2 hours and neither of us still would have scored. So it was just one of those games. But yeah, disappointed we didn't get to 3 points, to be honest. But that's how it just have those days, really. Yeah,
I suppose in the broader picture, though, it's been a fantastic start from the neutral point of view for yourselves. First season together, unbeaten. Even for yourself, like a small momentum so far, is second best defence in the league, only 8 goals. So it's 6 clean sheets as well.
Yeah, look, I suppose if you said even at the start of the season, like this is where we'd be now, then geez, I think anyone would have taken that position. Like I don't think anyone really knew where in the league or what way the team was going to go. So yeah, look, it's a great run of games. You have to say we're still unbeaten. Yeah, it's class, but yeah, this weekend now is a big one. So yeah, we're just trying to push now and just take every game as it comes. And like we only play every team twice now this year, compared to 3 times. So you have to take those opportunities. So yeah, look, it's a big game this weekend. We're all looking forward to it.
Are you pleasantly surprised how well you've done so far in your first year together?
Definitely, yeah. Like I definitely am. Anyway, I don't think anyone really knew like what way it was kind of going to go. And then, you know, like everyone was coming from different backgrounds, different ages, different teams. So it did take a while to gel and get to know each other and try to break down a few walls with the younger girls and stuff like that. So it was kind of hit or miss at the start, but it's definitely gelling together and we're definitely coming together as a team now with Collie and Reiner and stuff. Like they're fantastic coaching staff and management. So yeah, no, it's coming together well.
What's it like joining a new club that, well, essentially it's a new team put together, it's a new project? Like what's it like going in the first day into that dressing room with essentially 18, 20 new players?
Yeah, it's a bit scary, to be honest, especially you're jumping into the unknown, really. Like yeah, like on paper I suppose they have everything, but like that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're going out playing a match every weekend and that's all that matters. But yeah, no, it definitely was a bit scary going into something that didn't really know if it was going to work or not. So I think a lot of us took sacrifices in a lot of different aspects in joining Rovers. So yeah, look, it was a bit scary, but definitely worth it in the end.
For yourself then, when did you first hear about the Shamrock Rovers project?
It actually wasn't until like towards the end of the last season, really. I did know, like, it was obviously Chinese whispers going around. They were coming into the league, but it wasn't until late enough in the league. I think it was actually finished. Collie gave a few people a ring, and everyone was kind of asking around, did you get a call and stuff? So it would have been after the league was done, yeah. And then, but there was no like set in stone of a team or nothing for ages. So it was a lot of humming and hawing, I suppose, between a lot of people. But yeah, no, it was towards the end of the league last year.
And in terms of obviously going back to November, was it a tough decision to leave Shell, especially obviously back-to-back league titles and then doing the double as well? I imagine it was a tough decision.
Yeah, 100%. Like, to be honest, well, I definitely didn't want to leave, but there was obviously other factors that reasons that I did leave. But no, I definitely didn't want to leave, and I definitely didn't want to leave the girls, because even now, like, they're still my best friends, and like it's hard to leave, especially when you're after winning 2 leagues and a cup and getting a silver medal out of the other cup. Like it's nothing any of us wanted to do, but I think we just kind of had to come to a decision. And go with it in the end. But look, it's always a difficult decision moving club, and it definitely wasn't one that was taken lightly. But look, we're here now anyway, so just kind of have to go with it.
Were you surprised by? Now again, it was only a minority, I suppose, of people. But were you surprised by some of the negative comments towards some of the players that were joining the new club?
100%, yeah. I don't think there was any need for a lot of the comments that were floating around. But look, can't really. It doesn't reflect anything on the team, the club, or the girls. Like everyone's going to have their hearsay, and in teams moving, every club has people leaving every single year. People move clubs, so I think I don't really know. Like there was just a lot of backlash on that movement, but look, you can't control what other people say. Look, and again, look, it has nothing got to do with the club or the girls, because like I left on good terms, and I'm still again best friends with a lot of the girls. So yeah, no, I don't think there was any need for it, especially towards the younger girls. But yeah, we move on from that one.
Yeah. You've already touched on it in terms of the dressing room. I suppose one of the big advantages of creating new teams, you have such experienced players like Anya Gorman, Stephanie Roach, yourself, even going to the dressing room. Like it's from the outside looking in, it looks like it's a great blend between experience and obviously the younger girls as well.
Yeah, it was like and coming into any new dressing room with a brand new squad is going to be difficult, no matter what age or experience anyone has. But yeah, look, it did take a while to get to know each other and gel, and obviously now like all the girls have little cliques, the younger ones, and they've their crack, and then there's the older ones as well. But yeah, no, it's a great dressing room, to be fair, and there's absolutely all the egos are left outside the door, and it's just you're just focusing on the football at the end of the day, and that's what Collie does. Always try to put into the team, like no one's more important than anyone, and I think it does show on the pitch and stuff. So that's a good attitude to have towards each game.
How have you enjoyed the semi-professional aspect this season?
Yeah, look, it's definitely the most professional club I've been with in Ireland. They have everything really you could ask for, from down to water bottles to gear, like anything you ask for is there in 2 seconds. Your pitches, your outdoor pitch, indoor pitch, gym, physio, doctor, like have everything. So like any of the other aspects off the pitch that you need, they're there in 2 seconds. And it really does come down to those little things that I think help the team in a massive way. And I had an injury there at the start of the season, and it was literally sorted within a week or two, and I really appreciated that. And I can say a lot of the girls are feeling the same way about those kind of things, which is a massive help, especially in the women's game. And physios and doctors and stuff, they kind of are scarce and a bit slow. I found throughout the year, so in that side of things, it's great. And then you obviously have Tallaght Stadium, which is probably the best stadium in Ireland for the women's game, and it's where the national team play. It's where everyone, probably all the younger girls, are aspiring to play. So yeah, it's class walking out in front of a big enough crowd, I suppose you can call it, but it looks small because the stadium's so big. But yeah, no, it's great. It's everyone involved is putting in a massive effort, and it's really shown this year anyway. Yeah,
and just in terms of the semi-professional aspect, would that be the main difference then in terms of what you've been used to before? Is that kind of maybe like the welfare of the players? Is that a big difference to what you previously used to?
Oh, it's massive, yeah. Like even we'd joined I forget what it's called, but it was the league anyway, and we get like a sports psychologist in with us. Like we all have like free sessions with her, and like you don't obviously have to use it, but like they're there if you want. And if you get like yellow cards and red cards and stuff like that, they just sort everything out for you. And it's just joining the professional side of things, and just makes our lives a lot easier. If something does happen, then they're there to deal with it for you. So yeah, no, it's a great help, to be honest. Yeah.
For yourself personally, did you have to juggle around your own maybe work life with obviously the semi-professional aspect now coming in? Because you train 4 days a week now, Shamrock Rovers, is it?
We train 3 days a week, and then we have a game on a Saturday. But no, it's the exact same thing as any other team. It's just they're obviously having a lot more backing towards it and funding. Yeah, obviously having a men's team and stuff helps. With any club, I was saying with Shells and stuff like that. So yeah, no, it's the exact same. They still do even in trainings. It's handy the Roadstone if it's full now. To now we've training, so we're able to go train in Tallaght Stadium before a big game at the weekend. Like, so those things really do come into play, and yeah, they're all great help.
Would you have much contact with the male team in terms of maybe the coaching staff or any bits in there?
Not really, no. We are completely separate to them. Like Collie and Ryan are our coaches, and then yeah, no, we're completely separate. They do their own thing, we do their own thing. So yeah.
You touched on there the playing in Tallaght Stadium. I suppose that's probably a major benefit playing there. Like you mentioned there, in terms of having the crowds as well. I think it was the record crowd, I suppose, 11,000 or 1,100 rather. So again, like little things that shows the growth in the game.
Yeah, it's massive. Like I was even saying to the girls there last week when we first started, I think our mums and dads were the only ones that could show up to a game, and then that was like 10 years ago, I'd say. And you compare it to now, like, yeah, you're getting record attendances, and Peamount had theirs, we had ours, Bowes had theirs last weekend. Like, it's great to see, and all the other clubs now are coming up, and all the marketing campaigns, and obviously Bowes have the backing of the men's, Athlone have backing of the men's, Galway just got joined with the men, so it's great. Like, and yeah, it's just a domino effect now, and it's getting bigger and better every year. So yeah, no, it's brilliant to see, and hopefully continues to go that way.
Yeah, and obviously you mentioned there off the field, obviously it's improved, but I think even from a spectator point of view, most people are in agreement too that the on the field quality is getting better and better every year too. And likewise this year, you can see the quality again very tight at the top of the league. Yeah,
100%. Look, even when we all started out, I'd say anyone can say it was just kick it long and run after the ball and hope for the best. Like, that was honestly the way it was. But nowadays, well, with Rovers anyway, it's literally 1-2 touch pass, and like that's what's drilled into us now. And like a good setup, good attacking play, good defensive setup, and it's yeah, as you can see, like the lads, even the Rovers men's teams are coming out watching our game, and like it's great to see them. And yeah, like the women's game has improved massively, and in every aspect, like strength, everything. Like we even have our gym sessions before training sessions, and all these things add up, and yeah, it just makes more people come to watch the games and get behind it as well. So yeah, it's great.
How much of an impact do you think the World Cup this year will have in the game? I know it's spoken about a lot, but like just from your own point of view, how do you think have an impact in the game long term?
I think it's massive, really, especially just because I know the men's didn't qualify and then the women's did, so it just turns like the general spectators, I think, would actually have an interest in the women's game, and then eventually lead on to coming to watching our games down the line and seeing that like women can actually play at a high level, and then just actually have a genuine interest in it. And it's going to be everywhere now for the next few months, and a lot more people, like even my workmates and stuff, like they're all have genuine interest. It's what everyone's talking about. And yeah, look, I think it's going to have a massive impact, especially being on RTE and getting the younger kids involved. And yeah, no, it's really blown up the game, especially for our league in Ireland here.
Just in terms of the season this year, how much of an impact has Colin Neal made in the side in terms of managing? Obviously, we were chatting before, it's his first season in the Women's National League, but like you said, we're trying to run that in terms of just where he's at in the league, now in second place, playing Peamount. I mean, he's clearly done a great job. Yeah,
Collie's great. Like, he's very calm and cool and collected manager. He just brings a very relaxed kind of sense to the team, and he really knows what he's on about, like from start to finish. Like, he's had a tough job in getting the squad in from scratch, and there'll probably be more people in and out this year and next year, but no, he's a fantastic manager. He's everything set up, analysis. He knows every single player in the league, knows everything about them. Like, he's top quality, and just his knowledge on the game is is absolutely outstanding, and especially coming into a league that he's never managed or coached in. I think it's given him a lot of respect, definitely from the girls on our team anyway. And he's really great, to be honest.
Is he allowing you to rather mention the fact that you're possibly in the title race this season, or is it still one game at a time?
No, it's obviously every team in the league wants to win it. It's never been a talking factor in the dressing room or anything. It's not even spoken about, to be honest. Not even intentionally. It's just like we're all trying to like it's our first year and we're coming together as a team. And to be honest, I think we're kind of not lucky, but we are, in the sense that we're in the position we are right now, and I think everyone will like take that on board. And we're honestly just we are taking it one game at a time, but like the end of the season's not even spoken about yet. So yeah.
Even if you beat Peamount on Saturday?
If we beat Peamount on Saturday, we can take it from there. We've a long break of the league. Like I said, we only get to play each other twice this year, which I think is much better, to be honest. But we definitely have to focus on winning this game. I suppose if Peamount win, it's kind of nearly not a one-man show, but they've the hard work done. So if we really need to win this weekend to put it up to them. But look, there's genuinely no like kind of anxiousness or nervousness around it or anything. We genuinely just take training as it comes, and Collie has every week set up differently for every team that we're playing. And come Friday training, we just do our little bit of shape, do our set pieces, and that's that. And have a solid warm up on game day, and just go out and do what we're doing in training all week. And it's worked so far, so we'll just take it into each game. So each game this week now.
It's just interesting to pick on points you mentioned there in terms of Aussie playing twice a season is much better. Do you find maybe in previous years that when you're playing each other 3 or 4 times a year, it just becomes a bit repetitive, if that's the right word to use?
Yeah, I do, to be honest. It's a lot like playing each other 3 times and everyone knows each other, and it's a long season, to be fair, and you could get 2 away draws to teams up and down the country. And it is a lot, to be fair, and I think it just makes it bit more interesting when you play each other twice, that like if you lose, like you only have one more chance to get the points back. And I think just playing once at home and once away, it really just makes your mark on the game. And I think a shorter league definitely does make it a bit more interesting.
And I suppose I should have mentioned earlier on the growth of the league. The game was a big game Saturday night, and again it's on TG Carr. Again, it shows that the league's going in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I think there's more games on each year, and TG Carr are doing a great job of that, and getting more teams, I suppose, out of the top 3 on TV as well, which it's great. I think they had Athlone and Bowes on a few weeks ago, and just getting everyone involved is the main thing. Like the league's growing more and more, and just getting teams outside of Dublin, I think is very important as well, because I think Dublin does get a lot of limelight in terms of marketing and stuff like that. So it's great to get the teams all over the league involved. And look, it's grown, and there's another show going on as well with the underdogs, and that's getting another one of the teams involved. And then I know there's another one going on with RT at the minute that'll probably be aired next year. So look, there's more things getting in with the women's league each year. So it's great for the league.
I suppose last question then was Ash for a score prediction for Saturday?
Sure, I have to go with Rovers and hope for a clean sheet, so I'm going to go 1-0 Rovers.
1-0 tight game. Okay, right.
Game,
Amanda, thanks for your time, and we'll chat again soon.
Cheers, thanks a million for that.
Get in touch. You can email us at extratimelive@gmail.com or tag us on Instagram using the hashtag League of Ireland, or tweet us at extratimenews.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to the second half, and now we're delighted to be joined from Italy, Mick Doyle and Heather Jameson. Guys, how are we?
All good, thank you.
All good, Luke, thanks.
I suppose first of all, congratulations, reaching the semi-final. Fantastic achievement.
Yeah, I think we've achieved our first 2 goals. One, keeping everybody fit, and two, winning our first two games comprehensively against Scotland and Germany, and we qualified for the semi-final, which is on Thursday. We're not quite sure yet who the opponent will be, but it would most likely be England, we think.
A nice derby game then, Mick.
It'll be tough. They're a good side. They're currently playing Holland as we speak. They're 1-0 up, and they've beaten Spain and Italy over the last 7 days. So they're a very good, strong side. But as we keep saying to the guys, if we turn up and play our own game, we're capable of beating anybody that's here. So we're more worried about ourselves than we are about anybody else.
And was that the goal then, Mick, when going into this term, was to get out of the group and get into the semi-finals? Was that the minimum requirement?
Yeah, that was always the way it was. I mean, we just, the old cliche, we just take it game by game, and really the target was to get out of the group, and we've done that now. The lads have been absolutely tremendous, in fairness to them. We couldn't have asked any more of them. To say we beat Scotland in the first game 4-1, sorry. We beat Germany in the second game 5-0, and we play Ukraine tonight, which is, I suppose, it's a bit of a dead rubber for both, because we're both in the semi-final now. It's just really a case of who wins the group and who finishes runners up. But what we've decided to do, and one of the guys has been sick for the last couple of days, so we're not going to strip him at all this evening, Luke Evans. And we're going to give some of the players that we brought. It's our first international tournament, so we're going to take the opportunity of giving 4 or 5 of them a game tonight, which also gives them their first international cap. So we've ticked a lot of boxes in qualifying for the semi-final. We're able to tick a lot of boxes by giving these lads a game as well. It's tremendous.
Is the game tonight going to be a bit similar to England and Belgium a couple of years ago? Is there an easier way to the final, or is it just both teams are as good as each other?
Well, if you look at the world ranking, I mean, the Ukraine are the current world, European and Paralympic champions. That just gives you an idea of the caliber of Ukraine. They're a superb team. England have been building over the last 3-4 years, and they're a very strong side. But we're equally as good. I mean, if you look at the makeup of our squad, of the teams that started against Scotland and Germany, there was over 400 caps in the team. So we have a lot of very, very good experienced players in the team that have played international competition before. And then the squad is made up of players that we brought in from the CP Football Academy. We have 5 lads tonight, on the trip that will earn their first cap. So I think the eldest in the team is about 37. I won't mention his name because he won't be happy about mentioning his name. And then the 2 youngest players we have in the team are 16. So we have a great spread of players, and the players that are here from the academy, they've been tremendous. They've been absolutely tremendous. You know, we started Sean Daly against Scotland, and Warren Morrissey played against Germany. And it's just been tremendous. If we had a written the script, Luke, it couldn't have gone any better than it has so far.
And what's the size of the squad that goes over, Mick? Is it a 23-man squad, or how many players do you bring over these tournaments?
We have 14 players with us. We started off about 18 weeks ago, and we had about 23 players in the original group. And obviously we're sorry we couldn't bring everybody, but at some point our players going to be left behind, unfortunately. And we're out here with 14 now, and all 14. Sorry.
No, I was just going to follow up there. And are the games 11 aside? So we might not understand it back home. Are the games 11 aside?
No, the games are 7 aside.
Yeah.
And we're playing every 2 days. So you can imagine in temperatures of anywhere between 22 and 26 degrees. Every two days is a big ask of the players. But again, they've been tremendous. You know, it can be outside of the game time and the training time. It can be quite boring for them, because all they're doing is playing, training, and resting. That's really what they're doing. They haven't been able to see much of Oristano, and which is a pity for them. But please God, when we bring back the gold medal, we'll get them out on Saturday and give them a bit of a night out on Saturday night before we come home.
Heather, if I can ask yourself then, in terms of the setup of the tournament, a lot, I guess, kind of mentioned previously there, maybe some people at home wouldn't necessarily know about the tournament or know how players are eligible to play or how do you qualify. Mind just a bit of detail there.
Yeah, so it's the International Federation of CP Football are running what we're at now, the European Championships. So obviously it's quite similar to mainstream in that we play a World Cup one year and we play European Championships another. So it runs in a similar format, but Cerebral Palsy football is a 5-a-side game. It's played essentially on a 9-a-side pitch with kind of 9-a-side goals. So it is slightly different in that respect. There's a few rule changes to allow for the capabilities of the players. So within the game, the players, as well as throwing the ball over their head, they're allowed to roll it underarm, which is to allow for some players who might not have the full use of one side of their body. But essentially everything other than that, there's no offsides. But other than that, everything is the very same as the mainstream game. But we do have squads of 14 rather than kind of 23 or 24 to allow for that kind of 7-side play. But players who are eligible then would have had from birth or through brain injury later in life, they'd have a diagnosis of cerebral palsy. So that whether that be they're affected as a hemiplegia on one side or diplegia or from the brain trauma. It's individual to each person, but you would have to have a diagnosis of cerebral palsy to play. But look, that's something that we're always constantly trying to promote. We have a great group of, as Mick said, the wider squad of about 23, 24 lads. But we know full well that there are many more players out there around the country who probably don't know the opportunity that is available for them. Every one of these guys now here is going to, once they step across that pitch, going to get an international cap, the same as Shane Duffy or John Egan, or it's the very same reward that they receive for playing for their country. They'll wear the very same jersey, so there's nothing different within that setting. It's just an opportunity for these players to play against opponents who have the same capabilities.
One of the really positive things, Luke, is that supporting that 22, 23 players. We have a cerebral palsy academy that train every Saturday in the AUL in Coolock. And if we had everyone showing up on any given Saturday, we would have upwards of 80 players at training, including what we've just introduced recently. We've introduced the women's ladies team into the academy recently, and the academy is very strong. It's very, very strong. So that's a feeder into what we're currently doing. I'll give you a quick example. Two of the lads that are with us playing today were mascots at a European Championship in Dublin. Must have been 2008 and 9, and they were mascots at that tournament, walking it with two of the guys that are playing with them today, and they were mascots. So that's how far they've come over that period of time, from mascots to full internationals for their country.
You mentioned there, Mick, and maybe touching on there the CP Football Academy. When did that begin in Ireland, the Football Academy?
But the academy as it is at the moment started around 2015-16, and we were training up in DCU in Ballymun, and we had probably 25 players maybe of various ages, and since 2016, the chairperson and secretary of the club, Rachel Kavanagh and Donal Halpin, together with the rest of the committee, who were all volunteers, and we've driven it to where it is now. And as I say, we train in the AWL complex. We have a major sponsor in Chill Insurance who sponsored the academy, and as I say, we've upwards of 80 players, and that's every Saturday for 2 hours, and the players are between the ages from 7 upwards. So we have a foundation squad which goes from the ages of from 7 to 10. Then we have a junior squad which goes from 10 to 15, and then we have a senior squad that goes from 15 upwards. And all of those players here now have come through that process. But prior to the CP Academy, CP football was part of the Paralympics, but unfortunately we're not anymore. The football has been taken out of Paralympics, unfortunately. But as Heather said earlier on, we still have the European Championships, the World Championships, and sometimes they run a top 8 competition as well, the world's top 8. So there's plenty of an abundance of football for kids and adults with cerebral palsy. It's all there and available.
In terms of funding, then, is it mostly through donations, or is there government funding involved?
Yeah, it's donations, and the donations. We get some funding from the FAI, and then, as I say, we have Chill Insurance as our major sponsor. So everyone that's in the academy, we're all volunteers, and it's just when you consider that all of the lads that we have here have come through there at some point. It's absolutely tremendous.
Just for the international squad, then, Luke, that's fully funded then by the FAI. So a couple of years ago, the FAI took them on board as part of the Football for All programme, and when they left the Parliament, when the Parliament Committee took CP football off the Paralympic schedule, the FAI stood up and took charge of the Cerebral Palsy international team, and they've been funded by the FAI ever since.
I have to say, I just like to put a shout out, if it's okay, to Paddy O'Reilly. Paddy O'Reilly is the Football for All coordinator in the FAI, and Paddy has been a tremendous source of help to Heather and I and the rest of the staff over the last 18 weeks in getting prepared for this. So Paddy's been a great help for us, and we've also had several messages. We've had messages from the president of the FAI, Jerry McEnany, over the last few days, wishing the boys every success. And which is great. It's nice to be able to pass that on to the guys, to think that people like Jerry are listening in and taking a very keen interest in what they're doing. Is there a particular reason to why the CP football is taken out of the Paralympics, or was there a reason given, or?
There's just a couple of factors. Sports are always coming in and out of the Paralympic schedule, and that's natural. Same as with the Olympic schedule, you would have seen boxing had been removed there for the next upcoming Olympic Games, but there's a couple of factors, and one of the main ones being female participation. There was literally zero female participation in CP football up until about 2 years ago. Last year was the first ever female international competition, and there was a World Cup run alongside the Men's World Cup last year in Cerebral in Spain, with only 5 countries involved. And as Mick said, since then, I was at the World Cup with the lads last year, came back and spoke with the FAI. I said, look, there has to be more female players there as well, myself being one. So we've worked really hard, and we have about 20 girls now, from as well the age of 6 right up to in their 20s, training weekly and monthly to achieve that international team. So it's really come on strong, and that's helping CP football to grow and to put their case up to the Paralympic Committee to say, we are a sport that caters for all. So unfortunately there is factors that involve that, but the IFCPF, in fairness, are working hard to try to get back onto that Paralympic schedule. We have a squad of ladies going to Denmark in October, to play in a festival. What's going? Denmark, Spain, and the Netherlands, and ourselves compete in a 4-team Nations League tournament in October of this year, which will be the first time the Irish CP women's team will compete in a competitive game.
And that's absolutely fantastic. Just in terms of yourself, had your own role, obviously being a former Paralympian athlete, when did you get involved in the FAI?
So I started in the FAI about 5 years ago now, in 2018. I actually started on reception. I've loved football all my life, and played football since I could walk, and this was obviously a dream place to work. Then fortunate enough to get the role at reception, and I worked in a couple of other roles in around the building until I was fortunate enough to get a position as a Football for All development officer, which is everything that I could have imagined, getting to work with all disabilities, CP, deaf, amputee, and everything in between. It's been a phenomenal opportunity for me as somebody with a disability to be in this position and help other players with disabilities to take part in football. It really is a dream come true.
Yeah, and we speak about off air there, just in my own club, it has a football for all program. You can see the benefit of it, but you can just speak just for the audience here listening, like how important it is for football for all in this country.
Yeah, it's massive. And when the FAI started the football for all program in 2010, I don't think anybody imagined it would be in the position that it is now. And we have, I say, upwards of 60, almost 70 clubs around the country taking part in football for all teams, and probably many more who are just on the cusp of becoming a football for all team, a football for all club. So what it is essentially is, if you have a mainstream club such as Ashford United, you would then have a football for all team within that club. So your club is then seen as an inclusive space, as somewhere that players with whether it be intellectual or physical or sensory disabilities or autism can come and take part in football in an environment that's comfortable and safe for them, with coaches who are trained properly and who are I suppose enthusiastic about giving these players an opportunity. But the FAI will provide, through myself as a development officer and my colleagues, we would provide the training, help set up the sessions, and provide any support necessary to the clubs to make sure that this is not only just a set up for a year, but it has longevity and a sustainable program for the club. That, you know, as we know, clubs change managements, they change secretaries, everything. As that changes, that football for all remains at the heart of the club throughout the longevity of the club itself.
Mick, just in terms of CP football in Ireland, from your own time being involved now, how are you involved? About 20 years or so involved now, or longer?
I started in 2006.
Yeah. So from 2006 to now, can you believe the growth of the game in terms of CP football?
No, it's incredible. It's incredible, Luke. I haven't been involved in the international setup for about the last 8-9 years. It's all as Heather said. It was taken over by the FAI, and there's been individual coaches over that period. I mean, there was JJ Glynn, Sean Moore, Paul Green, Barry Ferguson, who was Evan Ferguson's dad. They've all been in as coaches and done an absolutely phenomenal job. And I just come back into it this year. I've been involved with the academy all along, and I just come back in this year to give a dig out, and thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been fantastic. There was a guy called Paul Casson, who was the founder and the mentor of all CP football in the country, and he got us all involved in it, and it's been phenomenal. It really has, and to see the way it's grown, and the quality of the players we have now, the quality of the academy right through to the international team, both on the men's and the women's side now. It's mind blowing, Luke. Absolutely mind blowing.
I thought the last question is, you've mentioned all the quality players we have now. Does that mean football's coming home?
Certainly, without doubt.
When we came away, we had ourselves satisfied that if we get out of the group, it would have been a massive achievement. Now we sat down last night, and if we don't bring back at least a silver medal, we'll be disappointed. You know, that's where we're at now. So I mean, tonight, as I say, we're playing Ukraine. We're giving some of the fringe players a game. They get a cap, gives everybody's morale a bit of a lift. And then we go into the semi-final on Thursday, and after that, it's anyone's competition. Really and truly, anyone's competition. And if we play as we can, and we execute the game plan, and everybody's on it, yeah, we can do something really special here for this group of players. Definitely.
Well, look, guys, congratulations on getting out of the group again, and good luck rest termed.
Thanks, Lou. Really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. And there's an open invitation any Saturday to come out and see the academy. Any Saturday at all.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks so much.
And there's kind of a lot of grumbling about maybe we don't have enough Premier League players, but in terms of the Championship,
But what's the point in grumbling about it?
But the
I can't argue about it, can I? If they're not playing the play, what's the point of me grumbling?
The step up to international football from the Championship, is it kind of is it easily managed?
Well, I take you back to when we played in 2002. What's the point of grumble? We had lads who were all at the bottom of the Premier League, real scrapping away. Kince and Matty Holland, and I had Gary Breen who hadn't even got a club. What's the point of grumble? So I don't subscribe to that. You know, you just whatever it is, whatever I've got, I'll get them together and make the best of them and try and make sure we qualify. Grumbling is not one of the things I do.
You can subscribe to each new episode of the ExtraTime.ie Sportscast on iTunes. Please give a rating or add a comment there to let us know your views.
Welcome back to the third half. I'm delighted to welcome James Rogers. James, how are you?
Oh, good. Look, thanks for having me.
Good to chat again. I suppose we're coming to the mid-season break now. Nice simple question to start with. How would you rate the Dogs season so far?
Sort of middle of the road. I suppose after the win over UCD on Monday, they're thereabouts for the top four. I think the ambition this year was always to sort of consolidate that, and it's not completely out of reach, but I suppose it's one of those you always look back on what you could have had more than what you actually do have, and it's sixth is probably disappointing. The run of form they've gone on a couple of occasions has been a bit disappointing. Before the UCD game, they'd taken 1 point from 12. I think you're expected to beat UCD, to be fair. I think every other team will. So it's probably not something to get overly excited about. But I think the two matches now coming up this Friday and the Friday after the break, away to Cork and away to Drogheda, will sort of be a bigger test because they're teams below you, and if you win them, happy days, you're probably going to move up the table a little bit, whereas if you don't, you're probably looking over your shoulder. So that will sort of define where the season is at. But I made the point, like before kickoff yesterday, I think they were 11 points worse off than they were at this stage last year, which would have them top if they had it just kept that way. So it has been a noticeable drop off in terms of form, and I think it probably should have more points on the board. But look, a lot of football still to be played.
You mentioned there the drop off in points, 11 points between this point last season and now. What's been the key difference between, say, last June and June 2023? What's happened?
I suppose, look, you have to stay defensively. Like, I think they've conceded, there's 27 goals already. Was only conceded 30 in the whole of last year, and we're pretty much only at the halfway point, and they've more or less done that. It's just they've had a soft centre this year. I put a lot of that down to sort of the midfield protection, or lack thereof, more so than the defence. But last year in particular, like, I think, was it Pats were the only team to win in Oriel, I think, late on with Adam O'Reilly's goal. It was a bit of a fortress. And this year they've only kept one clean sheet there, ironically against Pats as well, in the 5-0 win back in March, which I think was a bit of an anomaly of a performance. But by and large, they've been too easy to get at. A lot of the goals have been sort of self-inflicted or avoidable. I remember saying recently, like, I'd almost love if a team picked you apart with something really intricate or whatever, rather than constantly feels like you're giving goals away through just sloppiness and silly errors and that sort of thing. So you can't give away basically a season's worth of goals in the first half of the season when you're comparing last year to this year, and expect to be improving, because they've been struggling at the other end as well in terms of creating chances, and to be fair, their goal return for the amount of chances created isn't the worst, but there's very little being created from open play in particular. So that's also a concern.
Yeah, and so two things that which you mentioned there in terms of what I've seen on Dock, and obviously seen much more than I have, but just in terms of the goals they're going to see, they look so open sometimes, which you'd never expect with the Dock side. And we were chatting off there a minute ago, the midfield itself does look a bit flaky, maybe a bit light. And from an outside point of view, it looks like they've never adequately replaced Chris Shields. And I know he's gone 2 years, I know that, but it looks like they're really lacking at number 6. And I mentioned to you, like, someone like Jamie Lennon is a player that Pats have in my own club that makes it huge in the middle of the park there, breaking ball up and driving the team on. And the Dogs moment look like they don't have that player.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like we were probably spoiled for years with between Shields and O'Donnell. And I think at the moment, you mentioned Jamie Lennon there, there's a few of them across the league, but it's exactly the sort of player they're missing. I think they're aware of that. I think it is a priority for them in terms of the window. I don't know what the budgets are going to be like, but it is top priority for that sort of experienced number 6 sort of player to give the defence that sort of shield, because particularly in Europe, the chances and goals have been given up. If you do that in Europe, you will get punished. I think that's just inevitable. I think I've seen a lot of European matches Dundalk were involved in over the years, and at that level, you step up a grade and you might get away with it in a lot of League of Ireland games, but generally it only takes one chance for a team in Europe to score against you. So they could be really, really punished if they defend like that. And that's the probably disappointing thing, that if you look at between Stephen O'Donnell and his assistant Padge Craig, they were that type of player. You'd think it would be the most easily identifiable to them that was what was needed. I said at the start of the season I would have even tried to get a Gary Deegan down the road from Drogheda, whether that was possible or not. But I know he's getting on in years, but he's still, for me, as good as anyone on his day in that sort of role. He brings a bit of leadership and bite, which the Dundalk have badly been missing at the moment. But it's too, I was even talking last week before the Shamrock Rovers match, and I think Aaron Green had only played something like 152 minutes going into that game, and I said it wouldn't shock me if Rovers played Green just to try and play through the middle of them, and that's exactly what they did, and he popped up with 2 goals. So other teams are seeing it. Like, you can get at Dundalk very easy. Even UCD's goal on Monday was a bit of a mistake at the back, and they capitalise on it. And look, a better side maybe gives you more of a game after that, with all due respect to UCD, obviously. But you can't keep coughing up goals like that and expect to be pushing up the table.
Obviously, you mentioned the result there. We record here on Tuesday afternoon. Obviously, beat UCD 4-1. The prior result, you said that you expect Dundalk to win. But how worrying was the form for Dundalk recently, like losing to Derry 3-0, up 2-0 against Bows, then Bows clawing back? The pass defeat is probably the one that stood out in terms of being then passing down 10 men and getting the late winner. And there was a talk of Steve O'Donnell kept the team in, was it 90 minutes or so, maybe a long time after the match. And obviously you mentioned the Rovers game. Like, how worrying has the results been and the performance top of that?
Yeah, look, I think results are one thing. It's the sort of manner of them. Like, I mean, that run started up in Derry. I think Derry won 3-0, and really, I don't think they got out of second gear. It wasn't that they were very good. The Bows game should have been done and dusted at half time, but you always felt the minute Bows got one back, they were always going to get another. The Pats game and the Rovers game, you're playing against 10 men for long periods of time, and you can't and don't know how to capitalise on it. And that's not the first time that's happened on Dundalk this season. And like even Aaron Green's second on Friday, they're caught so high, with an extra man. It's almost unforgivable, and it's that sort of goal that, like, it's completely unnecessary. It lacks a bit of, I suppose, on-pitch leadership or whatever. I don't know, but it's just concerning, because again, like, I took a bit of flack from Pats fans actually when I said that, like, when Jake Mulroney was sent off, I thought only one team should win, because like Conor Carty's goal was the only shot Pats had in the second half of that game, and it's one of those where even if you don't go on to win it, you shouldn't lose it, because you're dominating possession, you have the extra man, and just they never look like doing this. And like, even I go back to the Rovers game on Friday night, I made the point leaving. I think Rovers weren't great in that game either, and they didn't have to be, and that's why I think it's concerning, because you're losing these games, and if you're beaten by a better team, you say, grand, fair enough, but the teams don't have to be particularly better than you. It's just like the Derry game was sheer work rate and effort, to be honest with you, which was the difference between the sides. And that's what's concerning, because I made the point leaving to someone that I reckon someone like a Shells would have taken a point at least from Tala on Friday, particularly playing, basically the entire second half with a man up, even though you were 1-0 down. I think, that's the difference at the moment, that little bit of fight or bit of character or whatever is missing.
Is it a fair comment to make, obviously looking on the outside, listening to yourself, even seeing some of the fan reaction online, there just seems to be a general flatness about the club at the moment. Is that a fair point to make?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, there's a lot of, I know you were talking off air, you work with a Dundalk fan and he's a bit disillusioned, and there is, like, I chat to some diehards myself, and they're finding it hard to go up to Oriel at the moment, and it's more than about, look, the team could in theory win 3-4 matches in a row and move right up the table and be right up. You're still only 4 points behind Bows in fourth, which would you have taken fourth to start the season? Probably. It's not like it's been a catastrophic season in terms of the results. It obviously can be better, but the overall mood around the club, it isn't good. I think that stems from a lack of, I don't know, desire by the owners, desire by the people up there. Like, there's been no, like, even yesterday or Monday, the UCD game, UCD coming to town at 5 p.m. on a bank holiday Monday. You kind of know it's going to be a low attendance, but absolutely zero effort made to drum up anything that would, attract people in, like make it a family fun day, or make it, have ice creams going in, or whatever it is. Like, do some sort of initiative that might encourage, an increase in attendance, and there's just not that drive or desire there, I think, behind the scenes at the moment, and it's fed through to the support. And, as a result, a club should be a bit more than what their first team does. I think, the GA do that so well. Obviously, there's only one team can win a league title every year. Maybe one more team can win a cup or whatever. But, like, I'm going round to most League of Ireland grounds, and there's a bit of a buzz. I was in Pats recently, for example, and, had only departed with their manager a couple of weeks earlier, and the buzz around the place. Like, I was comparing it to the Dog played Pats roughly a decade ago, and I think it was September 2013, and in what was effectively a title decider, Pats won 2-0 and went on to win the league by 3 points in Stephen Kenny's first year in charge. And there was something like a 25% bump in the attendance at the recent Dundalk Pats game compared to the game that was effectively a title decider. What the likes, I think it's Keane Menton, was doing with the mascots and that before the game was admirable. And you schoolboys teams on the pitch at halftime and stuff like that. And it matters. Like, the goals that the kids were scoring at halftime were being cheered on. There was a bit of a feel about the place. And with all due respect, and look, I'm complimenting, but Pats haven't won a league title in 10 years. It's not like you're not going to Rovers that are winning week in, week out or something like that. And likewise, you look at, like, I was in Sligo a few weeks before that, the same sort of buzz from a team who haven't been successful. So it's not about just the success. It's about the mood. It's about the atmosphere. It's the wanting to be there, feeling you're part of something. And it's completely lacking at the moment, I feel. And, it's a slippery slope if you lose that, because the attendances have been dropping. Like, Dundalk is seen as one of the big provincial football towns, but outside of Drogheda, who are limited by a 2,100 capacity, and UCD, who are an amateur, college-based side, the lowest attendances in the league. And you're probably looking at a situation where you've someone like a Galway United coming up next year, or a Waterford, either or, who again surpass that. So you're constantly sort of slipping down the ladder in terms of your support base, and it can be hard to get that back if you lose it. So it's just sort of worrying from my perspective that so little has been done to sort of do anything to encourage people to come out and support the team. Because if the UCD game is the only game within a home match within a 1 month period, Dundalk's next home game isn't for another 3 weeks against Pats, which is a Monday night, which you're going to have a reduced attendance again. And I think when those sort of, like, the fixtures are known since last December, you can plan for these things. You can have events, you can have whatever it is to try and give people, because most fans, as can't go on a Friday night around the country and travel after the team, expense, work, etc., family. So when there's no home match for so long, there's no way of, like, financially supporting the club. So you have to give them that reason. And there's been absolutely nothing done to bring people out in terms of Oriel Park. And it's been going on too long now. And it almost comes across, and I'm not saying they do, but it comes across as if the owners just don't care.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was going to jump onto there. Like, we were chatting probably 6 months ago about the ownership, and obviously we'll come back maybe the financial aspect in a second. And this is still continuing on 6 months later, that there seems to be a real disconnect between the fans and the club, and it's a huge difference to what the club was. I know people don't want to harp back to it, but the Stephen Kenny era, where the attendance was massive. You remember the big games in RT with Cork City coming to town. There was a big buzz around this place, and it just seems a shadow of what it used to be, going back only 4 or 5 years. Like, is there any dialogue between the ownership and the fan base? Is there any meetups or anything like that? Or like, so like, what's the ownership plan? What's Stat Sports' plan? Have they addressed it at all?
None. I suppose last September there was a fan survey released, and they gave a commitment to, when the results of that were compiled, and they asked fans to take up, I think it took 15 minutes on average or something, maybe 15, 20 minutes. They basically were even encouraging you, don't do this on your mobile. So many of us do these things on our phone now. They were nearly encouraging you to sit at a laptop, because it was a bit more effort required, and they wanted type responses and all that. And they said they would sit down with supporters before the start of the season and discuss the findings. That never happened. We're halfway through the year now. It still hasn't happened. A few minor bits have been released via the club, but like piecemeal information, no direction of the, no thoughts about where the direction of the club is going, where the club is at, how we can help improve things. Because look, there's an onus on fans too as well to sort of drive things as well. It can't be all on the owners, not putting all on there, but like, you look to them for leadership, and there's absolutely none coming at the moment, because, as I say, it's look, you'll have your glory days, you'll have your days out with cups if you're lucky or whatever, but every club, I don't care who you are, you look at clubs like in England, like Man United were on top for a while, and Liverpool were on top before that, and you have your lulls as well, but you need to feel a part of something, and I think that's just been slipping away at the moment, and as I said, there doesn't seem to be a plan in place to try and arrest that slide, because from my perspective, you're turning people off, and the attendances will reflect that.
Yeah, and obviously with attendances coming down, that's obviously not good for the books in terms of finances, and we know how important the attendances are in the League of Ireland. Just in terms of the financial aspect of the club, I know before the start of the season there was kind of murmurs coming out that everything wasn't too good. With the club now, is it the same? Is there? I think you might mention before that they are looking for outside investment to come in. Is there any talk with the financial aspect of the club and how it's doing, or is it in a healthy position?
Well, they were forced to release their books there fairly recently, because all the clubs that compete in UEFA competition have to make their books publicly available, and effectively they lost around 500,000 in terms of the balance sheet last year if you go by the accounts, but it's probably closer to 1 million, because there was a sponsorship amount put in by Stat Sports, but it wasn't actual real money in terms of it was made up in sort of consultancy fees and equipment and that sort of thing. You can't spend that. I'm not saying it's not valuable, but you can't spend it. And the big figure for me that I always look at is the cash in bank. So that's gone from 3.1 million in 2020 down to 1.4 million in 2021, and it was around 400,000 as of last December. Now, I sort of sent it off to an accountant friend of mine in Dublin, someone with no connection to the club or anything like that, no bias, and said, have a look at these. And his response to me was, well, they're almost certainly in the red now at that run rate. Now, we don't know that for certain. There's an element of speculation, but nothing in terms of big sponsorship or events have taken place that would suggest that isn't in any way accurate. Certainly, I wouldn't like to be where they are now financially, because if that was your household budget and you were burning through money like that, you'd have to be concerned at a point. But yet, as I say, nothing's been done to address this. I made the point recently that we've a mid-season break coming up now. Like even something like a golf classic. I live right beside the golf course here in Dundalk, and one of the local GAA clubs ran a golf classic there 2 weeks ago and raised close to 60 grand. Like, I mean, you know, you need to do more than that. You need to run it like a business, but hypothetically 60 grand is what you get for maybe finishing second in the league. You know, it's certainly your flights paid for Europe. It's a, you know, it's a signing, it's whatever, it's wages paid, I don't know, but there's been no effort made from my perspective to get any revenue in whatsoever. And it's not just about the revenue. I think these events to give fans a reason to get behind the team, to bring people together, to, you know, to create a bit of buzz and excitement. And look, the money element of it is different. They are looking for investment. They obviously were talking to Hull, but for me, it can't be the only show in town. Like I described it before, it's probably the equivalent of like losing your job and you try to win the lotto to pay your mortgage instead of, you know, trying to pick up nixers here and there to bring in some money or look for an alternative job. Like, and look, investment is needed at some point. I know there's probably going to be a plan released later this week that, you know, the FAI hope to improve all stadia, etc., over a 15-year period. But there's big issues coming down the line with Oriel Park in relation to the pitch. The stadium itself isn't good enough. But the figures up until now, you know, as I say, they've been hemorrhaging money from what we can see, and that's without any sort of long-term infrastructure plans. So just from a pure keeping the lights on perspective, they can't keep going the way they are, because even, as I say, once your attendances start to dip, whether you're, be it Shamrock, Rovers, UCD, whatever, your biggest source of income is always your match day revenue. And when that starts to slide, you're in big trouble. And it has been sliding, and it's been sliding consistently now. You know, people talk about the COVID bounce in the league. Well, Dundalk haven't got that. And look, you might say, well, probably Dundalk were the last team to win a league pre-COVID, but it's about more than that. It's not just about the fact that a team isn't doing well. And like, I know Stephen O'Donnell's taken flack, and I'm not saying he's been perfect. He has, probably, like any manager's going to make a few mistakes, and hindsight's a great thing when you're standing in a fan's shoes and you can say, why didn't he do this or why did he do that? But I feel for him a bit, because I don't believe for a second he left St. Patrick's Athletic to come to this sort of scenario. Like, you know, I think, you know, it's like when you change job, no one goes into a new job thinking it's going to be worse than their last one, you know, but the grass isn't always greener. And I think he's finding that out the hard way.
Yeah, and you mentioned the manager there, obviously, Steve O'Donnell. In terms of support for the manager, I know, like, obviously the recent form and there's other issues going on in the background, and again, it's probably not the manager's fault, but unfortunately he's the guy who fronts it all. He's the guy facing the press every week. Is support waning for the manager? And again, Twitter is a bad barometer to go off, but there has been complaints in terms of style of football, or there's no plan B, whatever the case would be. So is there an issue in terms of O'Donnell's job in the future, or would you say in the short term he should be fine?
I don't think they should be taking any rash calls on his future. I know there is a few fans that have sort of, you know, they're very frustrated with things. But like I say, like the big issue, like Dundalk, probably due to the finances, like they were the last team in the Premier Division to sign anyone. They didn't sign anyone till January. They probably took a lot of gambles in that, you know, you look at the profile of players they've signed, a lot of them are sort of, you know, guys who, you know, they all came from sort of England, Scotland, and they'd all sort of been released by higher level clubs. And look, sometimes you can unearth a gem in that, but you're probably not going to in every case. And that's been the scenario. Like, I don't want to be overly critical of new signings who are only in the door and probably still learning their trade, but some of them probably haven't been up to it. And, you know, it's just, I don't think, and I said it recently, I don't think Dundalk massively needed to reinvent the wheel compared to last year, because if you look at the players who left over the winter, like with the exception of maybe Lewis McCarry, who was on loan from Stoke and playing right back week in, week out, and maybe Sam Bone, who went to Maidstone in England. Everyone else that left wasn't really in the team. Like, I know Brian Gartland retired, but he didn't really play last year. Dave McMillan retired, but he, again, you know, he was always going to be second fiddle to the likes of Pat Hooban anyway. So I don't think you needed to massively, you know, reinvent things to just sort of consolidate or even kick on. But you know, the signings, it's kind of like, you know, O'Donnell admitted himself he probably can't compete for signings within the league anymore, and that's concerning, because at least when you sign someone within the league that was at another club, you at least kind of know what you're going to get. You know roughly what they're good at, what they're not. When you're signing players who've barely kicked the ball of senior football, you're just hoping they're going to be good. And look, some of these players may end up being good, but it's asking a lot on top of a few injuries to experienced players for them to come in and sort of hit the ground running, and it just hasn't happened.
Yeah, and I suppose like looking through the signs there, Tulloch, Maddy, Williams, Muller, Elliott, Ainsley, Davis, Coco. From an outside point of view, again, probably Tulloch has been the most impressive I've seen. Is there anyone else there that's done reasonably well since they came in?
I think Louis Ansley has great potential. He's obviously Gibraltar internationally. He actually only played his fourth game yesterday. He played and scored against Pats back in March and contracted sepsis. And it was his first game back against UCD yesterday. He looks like a player who's like he's hoping to be involved against France and Ireland next in the next few weeks. So he's going to be marking the likes of Mbappe and Evan Ferguson. So if you can marshal them, you'd like to think you can marshal a few League of Ireland strikers. But he looks a good signing, to be fair. But it's in general, I suppose, it's probably just lacking that experience and leadership, like when a team is coming at you in waves, knowing how to slow a game down, or the little nous that only experience can bring. And again, the Dundalk's possession stats are pretty good most weeks, but it's doing the right thing with it. And I just think they probably lack, again, a Shields and O'Donnell, someone in the middle of that team who can sort of direct traffic, for want of a better word. Like, you look at some great teams over the years. You look at Man United under Ferguson, did Roy Keane in there, nearly an on-pitch manager. Kenny had O'Donnell. And it's probably just missing that sort of player who, gets the message across and runs it, knows how to slow things down, knows how to take a sting out of a game, knows when to speed it up, can spot a pass and play a ball through. Because at the moment, I think Dundalk are probably too easy to defend against at times. They don't turn defences enough. Now, having said that, their goal return is probably decent based on the number of chances they're getting. But again, you're shipping too many at the other end. It's again, the test of a player is probably not what he does on the ball. It's more what he does off it, and that hasn't been good enough.
I know we talked about the kind of financial issues possibly at the club, but will there be additions, you think, in the summer window? Because again, it looks to me that they will need those summer additions, in particular with Europe coming up, and obviously trying to get into Europe again next season, which is going to be obviously crucial for the club in terms of getting that financial income coming in.
Yeah, look, it's hard to know at this stage. I know they are scouring for that sort of number 6. Obviously, Darryl Horgan is a player and I know it's a wishful one, and I have no insight on that, but he is a player the fans would love back, and he'd obviously, provide a lot in terms of buzz and creativity, and would be a statement signing. Look, the thing is that the owners have cash, like, that's fact. It's whether they want to put it in or not, to be honest. Or raise it to make the signings. But I mean, there will be money coming from Europe at some point, so maybe that sort of gives you the prospect of adding. But I'd say if they're adding, there's probably going to be a few on the way out as well, because as things stand, the 3 loan signings are, they're only here till the summer as it is now. Maybe they'll be extended, maybe they won't, but it's a wait and see on that one.
So at the end on a positive note for Dundalk fans, the good news yesterday was Pat Hoban equaling the Dundalk goal scoring record, 142 goals for the club over 2 spells. Again, fantastic service for the club.
Yeah, brilliant. I'd say if you did a poll on who one of the most hated players in the league is, I'd say he's right up there, which is probably the biggest compliment you can give a player. He's sort of done it all for Dundalk at this stage. The evolution of the the youngster came from Merview United, and now he's like really, he was almost playing in a number 10 role yesterday. But to get 142 goals for one club, and I've no doubt he'll add to that before he still has 18 months left on his deal. He's going to set a target that personally I can't see being beaten, because the modern nature of football now, if any youngster comes along and even gets sort of, you imagine if at any club, if a player come in and got maybe 12 goals in a season, that's sort of 20, 21, 22 years of age, they're gone. That someone in England will take a chance on them or whatever. So I can't personally see that ever being touched. But you know what, he deserves it, because he was part of a great story with Dundalk, and I'm sure he had options elsewhere a couple of years ago. He's still, for me, the best number 9 in the country, what he gives you. And like, look, I made the point yesterday to him, of the 142 goals he scored, 72 of them were the first goal for Dundalk in games. So they're big goals he gets to. Like, it was the equaliser yesterday, or it's the goal that gets you, breaks the deadlock or whatever. And, you look through it, and he's hit double figures against the likes of Rovers, Pats, Bows, Cork, probably forgetting a few, but he's done it against pretty much all the big teams in the league as well. It's not just that he's getting hat-tricks against, with all due respect, the UCDs of the world leader. So, he's been a phenomenal player for Dundalk, and he deserves that adulation, although I'm sure, like anyone, he probably expects a bit of flack in every away ground he goes to.
Actually, before we let you go, the last question, just the FA Cup draw was done today. Shamrock Rovers at home. What's your thoughts on
that? It was a 4-letter word that starts with S and ends in hit. But no, look, it's not ideal. I think, any team will tell you, like, they probably first and foremost want a home draw in the cup, unless, well, a lot of people want to carry away this year. I know that. But you probably wanted a home draw, and then you probably wanted a winnable tie. It's probably on paper the toughest they could have got. I suppose Stephen Donald's attitude would be, look, if you're going to win the cup, you have to beat someone like that at some point. You'd prefer if it was maybe down the line, but it's a tough one. I suppose what's up in the air about it is it's going to be in around Europe for both teams. So depending on the toughness of the draw, when it's going to be fixed, I don't know. We'll probably have to wait till the European draw to see when that will be played, because potentially, like, the Dundalk will be in action the Thursday before that weekend, and potentially Rovers could be in action on the Tuesday after that weekend. So if travel's involved for either team, be it coming back or going to an away game, that has a factor on it. So it'll be interesting to see when that's played, and again, where teams are at in terms of, like, is all your eggs in the European basket? Because from a Rovers perspective in particular, I suppose they need to win that sort of first round tie to get the few bites of the cherry in terms of qualifying for, well, firstly the Europa League group stages, and obviously the Conference League, which is probably the more realistic one. So, maybe you catch them at a good time, who knows? But I suppose at least it's at home. I know Rovers have beat Dundalk twice this season, but Dundalk do have a good record against them in Oriel. So, and you don't know where teams are going to be at that point. Like, Dundalk could have added 3 new signings. Rovers could have added 3 new signings. So it's a hard one to predict, but probably not ideal to get Rovers first round of the cup. But sure, look, it'll be a good game anyway, no doubt.
James, thanks as always. We'll chat again soon.
No worries. Thanks, Luke.
And just before we finish up for this week, a quick run through the fixtures in the SSE Airtricity League, starting with the Premier Division. On Friday night, we have Jolly United versus St. Pat's Athletic, Derry City Bows, Cork City Dundalk, Shelbourne Sligo Rovers, and Shamrock Rovers against UCD. In the First Division, we have Treaty United Cove Ramblers, Waterford Bray, Longford Town Finn Harps, Kerry Athlone Town, and Wexford Galway United. And of course, in the Women's Premier Division, we have Shells Wexford Youths, Bows Cork City, DLR Waves, Treaty, Shamrock Rovers Peamount, big game there, and Sligo Rovers Galway, all on Saturday. The last games before the midsummer break. I want to thank all our guests. I want to thank you for listening, and we'll see you all.